A very good afternoon again. Here I am with my co-host Idan Velleman, and I'm Vincent Everts, and we're from Diamond Picks, and we're here to discuss the week. And what a week it has been! Bitcoin and crypto has been completely dominated by the real economy. We're going to talk about that. It's all negative news, but there is also a positive silver lining, which is coming up. And then we're going to look into the Bitcoin and the crypto news, and we're going to end with a spectacular demo of the robot of Diamond Picks, which is basically the sentiment robot. And we're going to take a look how that works. Idan is going to give us an in-depth demo. I'm really excited because we also put it to work to make to protect our strategies of this crazy way up and down, because it's really very difficult to determine what markets we're in, Idan. Isn't that true? Isn't that really true? I mean, you said you wrote an article which we're going to talk about at the end of the episode. So stay tuned. When is this bear market going to end? And you analyze that really up to the bones. I mean, that must have been not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy because no one really knows, but there are some indicators, some guidelines that we can look at, and mainly macroeconomics and geopolitics, and of course looking at the history of crypto, and then we can do some estimations.
Yeah, and we're very excited because some very important people are in Amsterdam, and so we're going to introduce you in a minute. But let's first look at the macroeconomic thing. First, I mean, in Europe, it's inflation. You know, it's like 8%. We're going in 9% in the Netherlands, 7.5% in Spain. It's everywhere, all over the place. And it's two things: it's the core inflation of the basic goods and the total inflation, which of course includes energy. And
are you sharing something, Vincent?
I'm sharing something. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sharing something. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I did not do that right. Okay. Yeah. So here we are with the inflation sheet. In America, it's 8%. We're waiting for the next report, but also in Europe, it's pretty tough. 8.1% is average. Holland, it was 9%. Spain, it was 7.5%. In Germany, it was in between. So it's inflation everywhere, which is then divided up between the core inflation, which is basically goods or like food and housing, and on the other hand, the total inflation, the euro area inflation, and of course, energy has been terrible. But of course, this is a thing which has mainly to do with the supply chain problems and with the war in the Ukraine, which will not happen every year. So this is really a peak. This is really very interesting to see how fast will this end. And we're very happy to invite the central bank here in the Netherlands, because the European Central Bank is now having a meeting. And they're going to discuss the inflation, the goal of the inflation, and also the hikes they're going to do for the first time in July. They're going to do July. And of course, I think the president of it, Christine Lagarde, she was in a Dutch television program where she basically discussed how enthusiastic she is about the crypto world. I mean, how much she loves it. Her son is using it and is basically bothering his mother all the time. And she was also on a Dutch program, college tour, and she basically said something about Bitcoin. So let's see if we can listen to that.
What I'm really concerned about when it comes to crypto assets is that those investments be made by people who have their eyes wide open about the fact that they can lose it all. I mean, it's gone down by 20% last week in the matter of 1 week. I'm concerned about those people who assume that it's going to be a reward, who have no understanding of the risks, who will lose it all, and who will be terribly disappointed, which is why I believe that should be regulated.
How many of you have invested in cryptos? Anybody here?
That's a third.
A third, yeah. Anybody who lost a lot of money because of what happened to the cryptos? Yeah, please stand up over there.
Yeah, it's one crypto coin. It's called Cardano. And I lost approximately 7,000. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
that hurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much money did you make, Mister, with it? I mean, she didn't ask that. It was really interesting. And she goes on to tell that her son is using it, and that it's like, but I mean, also it's 20% in 1 week, and that is, of course, in the normal world, and it's quite a lot. But I mean, things are happening also in the fiat world, but in the crypto world, I mean, I've been there now 9 times, where it went 80, 70, 90% back, and then it went up to a next all-time high. So, but if you see what happens in the real world, the inflation is really bad. Look at the mortgage rates. In America, it's now up to 5%. In Holland, it's now it's a little bit lower. What kind of offer did you get from the bank for you, Idan?
Yeah, so I have a variable, and I'm paying right now 1.6. And I asked this week to get a proposal for a fixed one, and it was 3.3 or 3.4%. So it's more or less double.
Yeah, double. Yeah, and it will go up to 5% to 6% on the variable rate. And of course, the question is, how long is this mortgage rate going to be up? But that means it's going to slow down the building industry. It's going to slow down the sale of houses. I am involved in building a house in Limburg, and it's impossible to find a builder. But they're saying we're thinking of basically postponing it for 2 or 3 years. We're going into a recession. There's going to be a lot of destruction of demand, and then I think prices will come back to pre-corona levels, and even a little bit lower if we go into a good solid recession. So because if you look at this is the personal income in the United States, you see that it's going down with -6. The people who have a job, they get more income, but not enough to get inflation under control. And the people, 50% of the people do not have a job, and they don't get those increases in wages, which is happening now. So this is really bad. This is really horrible. And if you look at the production price, the prices of the producers, they're also at a high inflationary level. So for the next couple of months, we can also expect that production prices, which are going to be consumer prices, are going to rise. So this is all going to be terrible. Less personal income, more mortgage interest, lots of problems with supply chain.
I just want to add, this is exactly what the Fed. This is exactly what the Fed and the ECB wants. So the inflation has to do with the 2% normal that we have standard. There's a supply chain issue, and there's high demand. And what the ECB and the Fed can do, they can lower the demand, and that's what they exactly doing right now by increasing the rates, and then people will have less money to buy, and you just showed it here, and then we will see that the inflation will go down. And so that's a sort of summary of what we see here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Is there only negative news? Of course, that's not the case, because what happens if the prices go up, demand goes down, and you see that U.S. import demand is dropping off a cliff. And you see that all the ships which were waiting for the harbors in Los Angeles and other harbors, that's basically that big. Those big queue is gone now, and the amount of goods which are at sea is going down. So this is really, you see it really over here. It went down from say 225 to 130. It's almost back to normal times, but it's going down quite a bit. And it's not only the only indicator. This is the supply management metrics. And you see that the amount of inbound containers is getting back to pre-pandemic levels. So this is the amount of containers which is getting into the harbor. The prices of the containers are going down. So the amount of containers going up, the price is going down. So that's really great. And here you saw the commodity pricing, which went up quite a bit from say 20 year-over-year percent went up to 20-30%, and now it's going back to it went up to 60%, and now it's back to 20%. So you see that these kinds of things in the real economy, China is opening up, the container containers are shipping again. The queues are getting longer. The amount of railroading is going down, and also the amount of inventory at companies. They have a lot of inventory now. So I think that in about 6 months, this whole thing will stabilize. Then the producer prices will go down, and that means also the consumer prices will go down. So it will take 6 months to a year, but I think inflation will. There's no structural reason why inflation should be high. Here in Europe, we have this energy prices, but that's also a one-time thing. Energy prices went up 3 times, but next year they won't go up 3 times. So that means the high prices will still be high, but the inflation won't go up so much. So that is really that's really that's what I see on the general economic side. Any things to add to that, Idan?
No, I agree. I think we'll get the inflation stabilized at some stage. You can give it 4 to 6 months, but you will see it faster than a lot of people are expecting to. And yeah, that's it. I think after the summer there'll be a different picture already.
Yeah, but this had a huge influence on crypto, on the crypto world. I mean, there was a lot of money taken out, and people were afraid. And especially the altcoins have been on terrible, and yeah, it's now driven by macroeconomic standards. All the positive news which we might be able to come up with doesn't help because the macroeconomics are doing worse. So let's go to Bitcoin. What's happening with that market? That the market went down. It went up 10%. The Bitcoin went up 10-11%, and then it went down again. And what you've seen is that the analysis showed that whales have been buying a lot of accumulating. They're on accumulating mode. Of course, from our friends from Glassnode, they always make a nice slide.
Do you want to share it again, Vincent?
In the last couple of weeks.
Vincent, do you want to show it again because you just you had it for a second and then
let me share
it disappeared.
Thank you. I'm behind my screen. I am only on a laptop nowadays. So thank you for helping me out. So the Bitcoin whales have been accumulating, and that's our friends from Glassnode. This slide is always very useful to see how accumulating from the whales is helping.
Yeah, so we look at the trading view, but maybe you want to show this slide as well. Because now you show my screen, which is good as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good slide.
Yeah, this one is a nice one. I really like that one. Yeah.
Sorry. Bitcoin whales have been buying a lot of things, and this is the slide which basically distributed the Glassnode slide. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you see here on the Glassnode
slide, the whales are strongly accumulating.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, what I want to see, I think it's interesting. We see here since 2017, we see here periods where a lot of people are distributing, are selling the Bitcoin, and there's some period that we start seeing accumulation. And there's an indication there's a strong, in the last 1.5 weeks, there's a strong accumulation trend in Bitcoin. And that's interesting because usually after those periods, we see a very big increase for the price of Bitcoin. That's been seen in the last couple of times. You see it here in May 20, you see it in January 19, and you see it in September 2017. Would it happen again? I don't know, but these are really, as you mentioned, there are some positive indicators that show us that we have reached the bottom. The whales are accumulating, and we may start seeing a significant price increase. We may see a significant price increase.
It is so sad. It makes me so sad. I mean, you see that all the consumers are out of the market. The fear index is still very high, and then you see, okay, prices go down 50%, and who is starting to buy? The professional investor. The consumer always buys at the top. It doesn't matter how many times you see it. It's much better to buy when the professionals buy, but they don't do that. The consumers only do that after they see for a couple of weeks that it goes up. Then they start to buy, and that makes me sad. I wish consumers would be less emotional and saying, "Hey, if we're at a high, probably a good time to take some profit. If it's a low, this is exciting. This is a great place to get your portfolio going, and don't do it when everybody is excited." Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at the third thing. you made this slide about the flight to safety. What does this slide mean, Idan?
Yeah, so we are back to 14 months ago in terms of Bitcoin dominance. And there's a very interesting chart from Arcane Research that shows the Bitcoin plus the stable coins dominance. That's the gray, the blue one, and then you have the Bitcoin versus, sorry, that's the black one, and then you have versus the Bitcoin one plus stable plus Ethereum, and that's the blue one. And you see that we are back to almost 14 months ago. 77% are now dominated by the Bitcoin, stablecoin, and Ether. Yeah, the alts are suffering. The alts are suffering for a while, but we may have reached a peak in terms of dominance. Maybe I can move also to my screen and I can show you.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one remark. This is nice. This is one interesting slide, because normally Bitcoin is about 42%, but now they included stable coins. And I think that's really interesting. Stable coins, you see that's quite a bit. That's like 17% of the total market. And that means that if you then take Ethereum on top of it, all the other 25,000 coins which are out there are only 23%. And if you take the top 10 with Cardano and ADA and everything, if you take the top 10, you're probably looking at 5-6% or 10%, maybe maximum, all the other altcoins. Okay, so let's can you take us into the market? Show us how the market is doing at the moment.
Yeah, so I think it's great. It's a great step to look at the Bitcoin dominance. You're right, Vincent. We're looking right now at around 47.20% in terms of Bitcoin dominance. This is very high. We haven't seen that for a very long time. So you can see the last time we have seen that was somewhere in July, where we also had a very big bear period in the market. So this is in October, and so we're reaching really, really high, but we start declining a little bit. So we were on high, we were on almost 48%, and we start a little bit see a decline. So we may have reached a peak in terms of Bitcoin pricing. It's still sideways. There's not too much change. It's a little bit above 30, goes to 31, and then drops to 28 and 29. And as we said, since the beginning of May, since the Luna crash, we see those sideways movements, and we have a few alts that we start seeing that probably have reached the bottom and start picking up as well. What else do we see? You talked about commodity. You looked at the food commodity. The overall commodity that this chart is dominated, obviously, by oil, is still going up. And so I don't see any indication right now that this goes up. And you said that it's very much related to the war and to the ban on oil and how much production the OPEC and other countries will start increasing. We may have reached their bottom, the peak, but that's difficult to say. And what also we can look at, it's the 10-year bond. The 10-year bond. The 10-year bond is a little bit of the 10-year bond is a little bit of it start trending a little bit up again. Inflation expectation is still high, so everyone expect the Fed to increase in the next meeting to increase the rate in 50% and maybe a month later in 50%. The question is what will happen after the summer. If your analysis, what you've done today, is correct, we start seeing the inflation stabilizing, maybe a little bit going down, and then it's a different story. And then I think the bond market will start going down as well. So that's the analysis for today, Vincent. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Let's go. We try to keep it shorter this time, so I'm hurrying a lot. I'm sorry, because your analysis is really interesting, and we need to look at it. It's good. Let's talk a little bit about some news, and then we go to the when is bear market going to end. Okay, so I thought this was really interesting. Finally, PayPal lets users transfer Bitcoin and Ethereum to external wallets, and PayPal has been talking about having support for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and there's a lot of big parties now going that you can put your pension funds, you can put in Bitcoin. But if these parties make the whole road easier, to travel. That will be good when this market is going from bear to bull.
Yeah.
Any comments on this?
No, I think it's another step in the adoption of the Bitcoin. That's good. We see it every week. We're happy about it. Long term, we're very bullish, Vincent. And this is just to show us that there are a lot of signals that should confirm that we are very bullish long term on the crypto and the Bitcoin market. So that's fine.
This was a small one. I mean, of course, this is the year of the merge, where we go from proof of work to proof of stake. And I'm just always looking for signals that things are really going to happen. So one of the biggest networks, the public networks, which is the oldest, Robson, is now set to merge today. And that merge went well. So that's they went to proof of stake. So slowly they're doing all kinds of test networks, which are moving to proof of stake until, of course, the big bang is going to happen. This was really fun. I thought this was really, there's nothing better than a good fight between two parties. And this is Binance against Bloomberg. Bloomberg came with a big report, how crypto giant Binance became a hub for hackers, fraudsters, and drug traffickers. Everything which is happening on that exchange is bad people, which basically are fraudulent. What was your take on that?
No, I think it's BS, and let's show let's show what CZ, the CEO, how he reacted on that, because he had some really nice. Basically.
I'll tell you a little bit about the background. It was really funny. I mean, Binance just reacted to Reuters sent an email. Bloomberg sent an email. Sorry, this was Bloomberg, or was it?
That was Reuters. Yeah.
Reuters. This was Reuters, and they said they allegated that Binance was a place for criminals and that it was only used for bad purposes. They wrote down emails, they sent reports, they sent analyzing, they basically gave them numbers, but Reuters didn't batch and basically said it's all really bad. And then they published. Binance published a whole email exchange between these two partners and says, hey, this is all just bullshit. This is to mislead the general public. And the facts are clear. About 5%, 2 to 5% of fiat money is what CZ, the CEO of Binance, said. 2 to 5% of fiat money is used for criminal activities, illicit activity, and only 0.15% of all the crypto transactions. So it's really, but it was interesting that Reuters sent email, Binance reacted. They didn't take it. They just said, hey, they didn't say why they didn't react. So it's really interesting to take a look at it. So I love a good fight. And now, of course, Binance is an important party for us because they have 26 million people. They're the biggest crypto bank in the world. And so we hear things that in Europe, in Italy, they get a license. So that would be nice. So when we can use IBAN numbers and also Ideal again, that we're waiting for that. And they also have now the fifth biggest token. And the US had a research about it. Bloomberg had a research about it. What's that about, Idan?
There's rumors that the SEC is start investigating Binance, and that has to do with the ICO that they did in 2017 for the BNB ICO, the initial coin offering that was done also in the US by Binance, the BNB, and they claimed that it was done as a security and it was not reported correctly. So I think it's another one of those battles between the SEC and Binance, like
let's listen to it let's listen to it for a minute. I think that's interesting.
Let's do it.
Wow. She doesn't want to do it. Okay. So I will have to let that go because it doesn't work. But it's really interesting. I mean, of course, if Binance gets through those research, or if it's attacked by the US, that's going to be important. So
we'll see. I think
how that goes on next week. All right, Checkmate, and the Checkmate, the guy from which we know from Glassnodes, said also he looked at the trends and he's saying, hey, we're at a turning point. What do we see here?
Do you want to share the screen, Vincent?
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Sorry. Shit.
That's
So
my screen. That's my screen.
that's your screen. Why did I thought? See, I'm having a problem that I'm sitting outside, having to show those screens. Yeah. So this is the Glassnode analysis of Checkmate. We had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. He's a great analysis, and he said, "Hey, things are changing. We are at a turning point." And what's the turning point? What's the turning point? Do you know anything about that, Idan?
No, well, I guess that you see that there's ups and downs, and he basically said we have reached now, according to if you look since 2013, we reached now the bottom, basically in terms of moving average, and we are if we look purely technically at what we've seen in the last 10 years, it's time that we will start to see a peak. So that's what we see as basically. So it's another indicator that we may reach the bottom and start seeing an increase in the Bitcoin price. That's it.
Yeah, this investor tool, that investor tool is a very simple tool which he's been generated, and he's saying it has a pretty good track record that when you hit this green the lower band, it will go up again. And you see a couple of times when that happens. So just a nice little positive sign, which I think the whole global economy is much more important than these tools, but it's nice to see. But is the positive view of Bitcoin gone? Is everybody now saying like, okay, it's going to take a long time? Well, it's interesting. The Bitcoin 100,000. I always take a look at it. I find out if people talk about that. The Bitcoin. When is Bitcoin going to hit 100,000? And I think this guy is really interesting. He's from Bloomberg again, Mike McClone. He said in 2020, 100,000 in 2025. He said it in 2021, and he's saying it now again. It will be $100,000 in 2025. So I think that is the guy is really totally going is consistent, and I would be. For me, I think that it will go to 100,000 in 2024. I think it will be earlier than that, because I think that at a certain point, when the global economy is going to change and turn around, and inflation is over, that I think that will happen in 2024. I think Bitcoin will profit from that a lot, and I think it will. That's my prediction, that it will hit 2024 the $100,000. What's your prediction?
I think I think in 2024, 2025, we'll see again a bullish move. I think it will be the 68 all-time high will be over, and we'll see somewhere between the 70 and 100K. If we reach the 100, I'm not sure. But
when?
Knows.
What year?
I think at the end of 2000. At the end of 2024. That's when we reach.
You're just so careful. Well, I think between 70 and 80,000 and at the end of 20. Okay, I think
that's where we reach that's when we reach a new all-time high. 68 was the all-time high. I think at the end of 2024. No. We don't know, but I think we'll see a bull run.
No. You don't think there will be an all-time high in 2023?
Yeah. No. I don't think so.
No. Okay. So we put it down here. You make your prediction. I make my prediction. I hope that there will be. I think the general economy will need a year to turn around, and then the year afterwards we'll have an all-time high. We'll go to 100,000. Okay, good. And Goldman Sachs says they agree. They think Bitcoin is going to take more market share from gold. Gold is about 10, 15 times, 20 times, 15 times, 15 times more valuable than gold. And so they think that 100,000 is really in the books. Okay, good. One little piece of legislation which I thought was interesting. We are saying this year Ethereum will go to proof of stake, and Bitcoin doesn't give a budge. They do not like that. They think that proof of work is a real feature, and it's really okay to burn so much energy. But a lot of countries are now passing legislation saying, no more proof of work farms here in the state of New York, and and actually the US, I think, will follow. Biden will follow. So I think then it will be very difficult in Europe. It will be very difficult in America. It's already very difficult in China. Although I heard they banned mining completely, mining in China, but at the moment the rate is again 20%. 20% of all the mining now happens in China. So I guess people make it work left or right.
Yeah, and
so
I
this
think
is not a very.
It's important to mention just one thing. It's not a complete ban. It's complete ban if you use a fossil fuel as an energy. And that's something that I think we'll see more and more. The trend will be that if you want to mine, you need to mine it greenly, in a green way, and not with fossil fuel. And I tend to understand and agree that will do a very good publicity for Bitcoin if everyone will be mining with green electricity and not with fossil fuel.
We don't have enough green energy. We do not have enough green energy. It will take 20 years to have enough green energy. So if Bitcoin takes green energy, it means that other industries are still using fossil fuels. So anyway, okay, this is just a little one. This now the last thing before we go to your article, and it's this guy, Faustin Archange Tudara. He is a total math geek. He's a total math geek. He talks all the time about mathematics and how mathematics is important, and he wants to change his country. And he thinks that Bitcoin is sort of the math money on the internet. He's really a total Bitcoin fan, and he wants to make it a currency, an accepted currency, legal tender in his country. And so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Other people think it's because they want to avoid bankruptcy. So we'll see. More and more people are accepting it as legal tender. There's now about 5 or 6 countries, but now we have just the first African country which does that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything here?
No,
are you
I
going
think
to talk about this?
No, we can skip about that.
Yeah. Okay. I thought this was interesting slide from the crypto banter, and they said this is the there's a huge. They looked at at some crypto exchanges, and there's a huge amount of demand for crypto at 28, and there's a huge amount of supply on 31. There's a big difference, and the question is who's going to win? Who's going to win now? Is the 31,000 demand going to win? Then the prices will go up, and are people accepting lower prices than 28,000? So this is really the sort of the live market going to work, and of course we saw that going down. And normally, if it goes here, then it goes up again. All right, talk to us about what the robot is doing of Diamond Picks. We have robots. It analyzes the market, and I really want to. It protects all the people who invest with us. And can you give us a demo of that?
Yeah, sure.
Of that.
Sure. So if you if we back to the trading view, and what you can see here, I added the market sentiment indicator of Bitcoin based on 1-day chart, and what you see is that we have a robot right now that indicates when we should take a long position or we should exit. And this is live data, so this is really happened. So it's nothing that I came up with, and we can start looking at.
Can you make the lower part a little bigger so that we see the little green and the red one? Can you make it a little higher so we see a little bit more?
I will make it. I just want to. Yeah. I just want to show. I will make it. I just want to show what does it actually mean. You see here, the bot, the algorithm trading bot decided to take a long position, and it went up, and that was somewhere at 11,000, and then he took an exit position on 65. And then he stayed out of the market, and then he went again on 39, and he took an exit position on 43, and then he took another position on 47, and took an exit position on 66, etc., etc. And so right now he's out of the market. He went out of the market on 11 of April, and that's on the 44K. And since then he decided not to go back to the market. That's the 1-day market sentiment represented by the Duroc strategy in Diamond Picks. And the way it works, it takes lots of parameters into consideration, including moving average, including different ATRs, and a lot of other stuff. And he make a decision when to enter and when to exit the position.
Yeah. And at the moment it's negative, but the negative sentiment is getting better, right?
Well, it looks like we have in the data we have a sensitive we have a way to feel when, or to see when he's starting to get a little bit more positive, and it looks like he's getting a bit more positive. He hasn't decided to take a long position, but he may decide to do it soon. So yeah, we'll see.
I think it's really
there are no
interesting.
emotions here.
I think it's really interesting.
There are no emotions here. It's purely mathematics, and based on mathematics, the robot decides when to enter the market.
And you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if if my internet is not working. This is how you see it in Diamond Picks. I have here the strategy Hereford, which is basically the robot, and here we have Satoshi. And here you see Satoshi going up and down, and this is what the robot is doing. You see that when it goes up, the robot is still very careful. It's going up a little bit less. But if you see when it goes down, for example, here, this is after a period of a year, it's going up 36%, while Bitcoin is down 12.6%. If I look at the last 6 months, it's really interesting. Then in the last 6 months, Hereford, which is the Bitcoin with the robot protection, is up 9%, 10%, and Bitcoin, of course, is down 40%. So it's a 50% better. It's better. So if you have this robot protecting you, especially when you go down. When you go down, Hereford just stays out of the robot. Basically, gives you a lot of peace of mind. Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to say that our strategy is not only Bitcoin. We have other strategies, like in Duroc, for example, we just entered a few positions, and in Genoa, we just entered a few positions. So there are some indication that the market is start warming up, and Duroc hasn't been entering for a very long time any position. And in the last couple of weeks, he just entered a coin called Theta, for example, and yesterday entered a coin called Syscoin, and a few days ago he took a position in Link. So we surely, I mean, Theta is not even shown here because it just happened when we started the show. So we see some indication. It doesn't mean that we're not gonna have a pullback, but if we have a pullback, then we are going out of the market and waiting again to see some positive signs.
Okay, well, if you're interested in that, I would like to say, we like you to take. You can basically try to. You can make an account now on Diamond Picks. Let me do it in English. You can register at diamondpicks.com. You can try everything out. It's for free, and you can start with €1, with €10, €15. And you can also do everything in simulation mode. And then you can really see, if you invest, what comes out of it. So I would everybody recommend to do that. Okay, Idan, we didn't do it in half an hour. It was 40 minutes, but I think we covered a lot of things. So thanks very much, and we'll see each other 2 weeks from now, because next week I'll be in Oslo. So maybe you do something alone, but I will not be there. I'm going to go to the biggest exhibition in Oslo on electric driving, electric flying, and electric boats. So no crypto for me for a little bit, but also some other interesting subject. Thanks very much, Idan.
Have a lot of fun, Vincent. Thank you very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, thank you.